When my wife, Claire, first mentioned the idea of a hall pass, I thought she was joking. We'd been married for 8 years, and while things weren't perfect, we were stable. She laughed over dinner, swirling her wine, and said, "It's what couples do these days, to keep things exciting." I laughed too, assuming it was one of those social media trends she'd outgrow by morning. But she didn't. Over the next few weeks, she brought it up like a casual hobby, testing the waters, framing it as modern and harmless. "It's not cheating if it's mutual," she said one night, legs tucked under her on the couch, eyes glued to her phone. "Just a free pass to, explore." I'd built my marriage on loyalty, not loopholes. I told her calmly that I wasn't comfortable. She nodded, said she understood, and kissed me goodnight. But the kiss felt rehearsed, like a polite gesture before boarding a different flight. 3 nights later, she came home late from work. The scent of a man's cologne clung to her blazer. Something sharp and expensive, nothing I'd ever worn. When I asked, she rolled her eyes. "Relax, it's just my coworker Evan's cologne. He sprayed too much in the office." That was the first time his name entered our home. It wouldn't be the last. By the end of that month, I knew every detail about Evan without ever meeting him. He liked craft beer, played guitar at open mics, and totally understood Claire's creativity. She'd drop his name into every conversation, like a new accessory she couldn't stop showing off. I tried to reason with her. "Do you realize how this sounds?" I asked one evening. She sighed. "You're overreacting again, Mark. I just need some space. Not everything's about you." That sentence echoed for days. Not everything's about you. One Saturday morning, I found her phone buzzing on the counter. A message lit up the screen. "Can't wait for you to use that hall pass." Winky face. The winking emoji hit harder than the words. My chest tightened, but I didn't explode. Instead, I poured myself coffee, sat at the table, and waited for her to come downstairs. She froze when she saw her phone in my hand. "Mark, don't look at me like that. It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I asked quietly. She crossed her arms, defensive. "Evan and I have chemistry. I wanted to be honest before doing anything stupid. That's why I asked for your approval." Approval. The word burned. "So, you wanted me to sign off on cheating?" "It's not cheating if we agree on it," she snapped. I'd never seen her that bold, that sure of her moral gymnastics. It was like she'd already convinced herself she was the brave, liberated one, and I was the insecure husband standing in her way. For the next few hours, she tried every tactic. Guilt, reason, even pity. "If you loved me," she whispered, "you'd let me be free." That's when I realized love was no longer the language she spoke. Freedom meant having another man while I stayed loyal and silent. That night, she packed a bag to clear her head. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "Please don't do anything dramatic while I'm gone." I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I opened my laptop and began documenting everything. Messages, shared accounts, photos. Every digital footprint of the marriage she was casually torching. I wasn't planning revenge. I was preparing for peace. When she returned 2 days later, she walked in smiling, refreshed, as if nothing had happened. "So," she asked, dropping her bag, "have you thought about the hall pass?" I looked up from the paperwork spread across the table. "Yeah," I said evenly. "I've decided something better." Claire's confident smile faded when she saw the manila envelope beside my coffee cup. "What's that?" she asked. "Divorce papers," I said calmly. "You wanted freedom. I'm giving it to you." Her mouth fell open. "Mark, stop being ridiculous. You're seriously divorcing me over a conversation." Conversation. I leaned back in my chair. "You were one text away from turning our marriage into an open relationship I never agreed to." She took a step closer, her voice softening. "I didn't do anything yet. You're overreacting. I just needed to feel wanted again." There it was, the excuse dressed up as honesty. I'd spent years trying to make her feel wanted. Date nights, anniversaries, trips she planned and I paid for. But what she craved wasn't affection. It was validation from someone new. I did everything I could, Claire, I said. But if your definition of happiness now includes someone else, I won't stand in the way. Her expression hardened. You can't just end a marriage like that. You already did, I replied. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The silence between us felt heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Finally, she muttered, "You'll regret this. Evan doesn't even mean anything." "I'm sure he doesn't," I said, sliding the papers toward her. "But sign them anyway." She didn't sign that night. Instead, she stormed out, slamming the door like a final punctuation mark at the end of something that had already died. By morning, I'd already closed our joint accounts, moved half the savings into a new one, and called my attorney. I wasn't acting out of spite. I was protecting what little dignity I had left. That afternoon, I got a text from her. "We need to talk." I didn't reply. A few hours later, she showed up at my work. Her eyes were red, her tone softer. "Mark, please," she whispered. I didn't mean any of it. I was confused. Evan doesn't even talk to me anymore. I looked at her for a long moment, the woman I'd once trusted with everything. "You wanted to play with fire, Claire. You just didn't expect to get burned." Tears welled in her eyes. "I just wanted to feel alive again. And now," I asked, "now I feel stupid." I could have comforted her. I could have told her that everyone makes mistakes, that maybe we could fix it. But I'd spent too many nights alone beside someone who stopped seeing me years ago. So I said nothing. When the divorce finalized weeks later, she sent one last message. "I hope you find someone who appreciates how steady you are." I wasn't built for that kind of love. I didn't reply. Instead, I went for a walk. Same route we used to take on weekends, except now it felt like my own again. The quiet didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt earned. I'd spent so long trying to fix something that didn't want saving, mistaking endurance for strength. But real strength, I realized, wasn't holding on. It was knowing when to let go. Months passed. Friends asked if I ever missed her. Sometimes, I missed the version of her that used to laugh at my stupid jokes or fall asleep on my shoulder during movies. But that version of her was gone long before she ever said the word hall pass. One evening, I ran into Evan at a grocery store. He looked nervous, almost embarrassed. "Hey man," he muttered, avoiding eye contact. "Didn't mean for things to get weird." I smiled genuinely. "Don't worry about it. You did me a favor." He blinked, unsure what to say. But I meant it. If not for him, I might have spent another decade loving someone who stopped loving me quietly. As I left, I realized something simple but freeing. Betrayal doesn't always break you. Sometimes, it rebuilds you into someone wiser, calmer, stronger. Because when someone shows you that love can be conditional, you learn how to love yourself unconditionally. And that's something no hall pass could ever replace.